News Prime.
Indeed, this is Joy News Prime. Welcome to 2 hours of compelling content. We are also available on the ABN channel 235. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Coming up this hour, military personnel to be detailed on the Agogo in the Ashanti region to restore calm following the death of one person and injury of another. Unpaid nurses embark on strike to demand payment of some 3 to 6 months of arrears. An Institute of Democratic Governance pushes for the arrest and prosecution of politicians who engage in vote buying.
And in business tonight, Printers and Paper Converters Association delighted about the current directive by government to print all textbooks locally and says this holds a lot of potential for employment opportunities in the country.
President Mahama breaks ground for construction of Kasoa interchange to ease traffic congestion in that corridor. On Joy News Prime, you get a balance of local, foreign, plus business, sports, and many other stories in 2 hours. Many thanks for choosing us. In our very first story, senior staff nurses in various healthcare facilities in some parts of Accra have in a double task of adding the job of unpaid nurses to their duties. This will be the trend until the unpaid nurses who began a strike this morning return to work. The nurses are demanding payment of their arrears, which they say has been long overdue. The nurses say they have patiently waited for the promises of both the health and employment ministers to materialize, but the monies have not hit their account. Hano Dame has been following the story and spoke to some of them.
The Ridge Hospital here in Accra receives a lot of patients on a daily basis. You can see them trooping in this morning. That requires a lot of hands, and that's when the services of the unpaid nurses, majority of them who work here, are needed. Unfortunately, most of them, I'm told by their spokespersons, are not here today. About 100 of them work here at the Ridge Hospital. They are asking for all their arrears, which government owes them, some for as long as 2 years.
I've been owed 2 years in all.
And you have never received a single month's salary?
We have. That was when they paid the back pay. They said they brought some new protocol that they'll pay only 3 months. Then after that you will apply. And we've applied since last year. And we've not seen it, even though we've been following up, but we've not seen any results.
So I remember that last year the employment minister made some moves and assured you guys that by September you'll be paid. What happened to that?
Actually, that was a promise he made. Then I think some people received some. When we went there, they were like, they paid all the 7,000. But if you check the document, it's only 30% out of the 7,000 that they said they paid. But even out of the 7,000, out of the 30%, it's only 5% that received full payment.
How exactly do you think it will impact on work here?
It means that those that are scheduled to have surgeries wouldn't be able, because it's mostly the junior nurses that work. So if the junior nurses are striking, this means that there wouldn't be cases today. If there will be just minor cases that will not need so much time and attention.
And you said you are here because you came night.
Yeah, I came night. My contract ends this morning. There is no way I will come back to work until I've seen my salary in my account.
Have you been living without salary for 2 years? It's not easy because going to work without money or without government paying you, it's not easy. This has made some of us to go for loans for us to go to work and also to take care of ourselves and our family as well. So this time when the salary wasn't paid wasn't easy for us at all. Now, I remember that there have been times you've embarked on such strike, you are spoken to, and then you come back. What if today the employment minister or any government official pleads with you to come back? Will you this time again come back?
You know, the thing is, this is not the first time they've talked to us that we should go to work and that they will pay. This is not the first time. This time, no, until the money hits into our account, we are not coming back.
We have tried to speak to authorities at this hospital to find out measures they are putting in place to ensure that the absence of the unpaid nurses does not affect healthcare delivery. Unfortunately, no one has been available to speak to us. From the Reach Hospital here in Accra, my name is Hannah Odami for Joy News.
The nationwide indefinite strike by the coalition of unpaid nurses and midwives is yet to hit the Ashanti region, as many of them remain at post. Love News checks at some health facilities in the region reveal majority of the personnel are at post to provide care to patients. At the Komfanoche Hospital, for instance, the impact of the strike is almost non-existent as the facilities run smoothly. Public Relations Officer at Komfanoche Teaching Hospital, Kwame Frimpong, tells Love FM's John Tay the hospital's operations have not been affected by the action.
Our operations have not been affected in any way. All our nurses who are supposed to be on duty are at post as I speak to you. So we do not have any nurse on strike at the hospital at the moment, and therefore we've not been affected in any way.
But do we have any such group as Coalition for Unpaid Nurses here at the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital?
What we have is the Ghana Registered Nurses Association, that's the umbrella body of the nurses. And we spoke to some of the executives, including their chairman, today. And they told us none of their members complain about the issue, which is the basis of the strike action by this group that you are referring to. So if the executive themselves are unaware of any nurse with such a complaint, then we do not expect any nurse at this facility to be on strike. And truly, we've gone round. All nurses who are supposed to be at work, there are various service points delivering care to patients.
So all the service points are running
smoothly.
Away from the Ashanti region, still in Agogo, 2 people have been shot in the Agogo township of the Ashanti region, 1 farmer and 1 cattle header. The farmer, David Abanga, did not survive the attack. However, the Fulani header is still alive but in critical condition. The shootings, which occurred yesterday, have thrown the town into chaos. Reports say the herdsmen are fleeing and the farmers are cowering in their homes. Correspondent Erastus Asare Donka followed the police to the scene of the crime and now reports.
Well, we are just coming from the bush. Precisely, there is a town close to Agogo, about 7 miles. And we've been walking for several miles into where Asadu farm. He's actually the best farmer Ashanti region for 2015. And he has been badly affected to the extent that he and his wife carry pump-action guns before they can get to the farm. And so we've been following them together with the Konongo Divisional Police Commander, who you just heard there. And we've seen devastation upon devastation, acres of plantain, cassava eaten by the cattle. And even as we speak, we had to take turns to use water to quench fires started by the Fulani. And it's been explained to me that they set the whole farm on fire with the hope that more grass will sprout from the ashes, and so they can use that to feed their cattle. And so currently, there are more men in the bush still searching for the Fulani man who shot the gentleman dead, and they are still looking for him in the bush as well. So we are currently in the town where the community has finished their press conference. The only people who can go to the farms are those who have arms, just like Mr. Asadu and his wife. And later on, we'll be feeding our listeners with the videos, and you could see that in the town now, all the farmers are here. Many of them have been speaking with. They are saying they are afraid to go to the farms because when it happens like that, both parties are agreed. The Fulani men have had somebody shot who is currently at the hospital, and so they are agreed at the moment, and the natives are also agreed. So if you don't have any gun or something to protect yourself with, then you're not going to the farm. And so many of the farmers are currently in the town, no farm for today.
Meanwhile, the police in the area has been explaining what happened and the health condition of the injured Fulani headsman.
People were shot, but fortunately, one was not dead. The Fulani boy didn't die. He was shot at the thighs, the left thigh, and some bullets also went to the right thigh. So we picked him from a village called Abroanko, near Nsunyamiye. A very far distance place. In fact, even our vehicle couldn't access to the place. We have to park our car somewhere and embark on walking. So we walked for quite a distance before we were able to see the guy who was shot. Apparently, they thought he was dead, so they left him. But fortunately, when we went there, he was lying prostrate, and we picked him to the hospital, sent him to Konongo government hospital. Then he was referred to Konfanache Emergency Hospital. So at the moment, they are there for surgery to remove the pellets that went to the thighs. Then what happens is that mostly the Fulani people send their cattle to graze in the farms of these people, and when they get sometimes about 10 acres, 5 acres, you see that they graze the whole farm, corn farm, onion, and what have you. And you know, the farmers also believe that they've taken so much resources to put into this effort to ensure that this thing comes and they get some living income. But the Fulani herdsmen go there and feed on all these crops, so they become infuriated and sometimes also take to a bit violence with them.
So in this particular case, who shot who? Is it a Fulani who shot another
The
Fulani
first
person?
case is Fulani man whose name is yet unknown. We are still looking for him, and I believe strongly that we'll get him within the shortest possible time. Yeah, and the Fulani man shot a native by name David Abanga alias Attah. He shot him dead, and we have to take the body to Agogo hospital for autopsy and for preservation as well.
And the second one?
And the second one, like I told you, it is a Ghanaian native farmer who shot at the Fulani.
Meanwhile, Chief of Fulanis Alhaji Muhammad Bingle says Fulanis in Agogo in the Ashanti region are living in fear. He noted the Fulanis in the area have been urged to exercise restraint even in the face of provocation.
We've been advising them to be restrained, to restrain themselves from engaging themselves in any act of violence or any breaking of the law.
Okay. And as much as you've been speaking to them about what they should do not to break the law, what have they also been telling you about their experiences in Agogo?
Yes. The experiences, it is very, very worrisome because they live in fear. They feel like their lives are in danger because somebody has declared war against them. So that is the situation. And so as I speak to you right now, we are preparing to summon a meeting with them, and then we'll see how we'll be able to resolve the issue once and for all. Some time ago, we tried our best, but I think we are back to zero.
Okay. Now, for the ones you've spoken to specifically in Agogo, do you know where they are right now?
In fact, I cannot say I know where they are, but I know they are not at the place where they used to be. They relocated ever since the court order. They were relocated to a different area, and that one also has its problem.
Meanwhile, security analyst Dr. Kwesi Enin has been speaking on this issue.
It's unfortunate And I think it reflects the failure of our institutional mechanisms and processes. First, to understand the brewing of these processes, its ramifications, and to nip it in the bud. And I think we've allowed it to fester and fester, and we are now seeing the unfortunate results of this collective failure of our institutional mechanism, and its exploitation by different groups.
Now, I remember that as far back as 2011, there was a court order which directed that these herdsmen be moved out of the Agogo township. It looks as though that has not happened, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing today. But how do we move from this point of having residents angry, wanting to attack the herdsmen, and the potential violence this can spark? What should be done at a time like this?
Well, I think it's important that we separate the judgment from its lack of implementation. You see, because there are cases, land cases, that have been judged much longer than 2011, for which there's no compliance. So this is not a Fulani reluctance to comply with a court order. Once more, it reflects our failure of our institutional mechanism. But you see, part of it also is that we have not, as Ghanaians and the state of Ghana, fulfilled its obligations under ECOWAS's regulations on transhumance. The regulation that says we've got to distinguish between Ghanaian Fulani and the migratory Fulani, and the things that we need to do for the migratory ones, and even those who have settled on the land. And once more, we have failed, and we've got to ask ourselves what institutions and which institutions and individuals failed to deliver. And I think we are not asking that question.
So then I need to ask you then, which institutions have failed in this regard, Dr. Enin?
Well, I think those who sit on the dissect and the dissect have failed in plus preventive action. They failed in that sense because they're the people, and this is about 14 or so state security agencies.
And to forestall future happening and restore calm in the Agogo township, the Ashanti Regional RECSEG has decided to send military personnel to beef up security.
Police command to take all necessary steps to engage leadership of the various stakeholders of the conflict in the Agogo and other communities to bring the situation under control. It is one of these attempts that necessitated the invitation extended to the Honorable Member of Parliament and Mr. Owusu Bempah to come in to assist the Regional Security Council in particular to have a lasting solution to this. So if the police actually invited or extended that invitation to Honorable Member of Parliament and Mr. Owusu Bempah, it wasn't the police per se, but the police was acting on the decision taken by the Regional Security Council. Meanwhile, intelligence gathering is deep on the ground. The Regional Security Council shall respond appropriately to any fallout from these security operations. Regional Security Council has also taken swift action to deal with any infraction of the law in the area. In fact, we have to note that in the course of performance of our duty as the Regional Security Council, we cannot whatever say that the foreign Fulani, though they are the target and the target is getting rid of them, but not to allow people to harm them. We need to protect them also.
We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with more. The news is coming to you live from our studios. Now to the rest of our stories. President John Mahama today broke ground for the construction of the Kasoa interchange project. According to President Mahama, the project is a reflection of his government's desire to impact on the lives of the people of Ghana.
The construction work on the 160 million interchange at Kasoa is expected to ease the worsening gridlock in and around that part of the central region. Curious Carval will construct a 270-meter interchange at Kasoa, 2 overpasses on the main Kasoa-Winneba Road, the 33-kilometer Kasoa-Obom-Amasaman Road, and 22 kilometers of road in the South Municipality and Kasoa. Under the project, there will be various bridges along the main Kasoa-Winneba Road to improve movement within the communities.
The Kasoa Interchange project reflects our desire as a government to impact the lives of our people positively with the projects that we execute. Just like the numerous other projects, water supply, educational infrastructure, health facilities, road network, and other projects that we are executing, like the Kwame Nkrumah Interchange, the Eastern Corridor Road, the Gifford Road, Awoshipo-Kwasi Road, the Kasoa Interchange is a life-changing and a life-transforming project.
Touching on the course of the project, President Mahama noted it is unfair for the political opponents to criticize the costs from afar without due consideration of elements involved.
When you have a new breed of political quantity surveyors who can just stand and look at something and say, oh, it's too expensive, then you have a problem. You can do the design of a school or a hospital and say this hospital is going to be built in Tema. And you can take that same design and say you're going to build that same hospital in Hamile. The cost of those 2 hospitals are not going to be the same. But when you're a political quantity surveyor and you look at Kasoa Interchange and say, oh, it's too expensive, I mean, what are you talking about? You haven't seen the scope of works. You haven't seen the bill of quantities. You haven't done a survey of building materials around here in Kasoa area, and you're able to judge that the cost is too expensive. President Kufuor said something. I've never forgotten that. He said there are some people who know the cost of everything, but do not know the value of anything. They know the cost of everything, but know the value of nothing.
He said an additional overpass at Galilea near Amanfrom in South and CP at Ewutu-Senya in the central region will be constructed to further improve connections and eliminate unnecessary U-turns from motorists moving from the Galilea to Amanfrom and from CP to Opei-Kuma. Under the project, 2 terminals will be constructed: the BRT terminal around the Kasoa traffic lights and one of the sheep markets on the Obom Road.
The Kasoa Interchange project consists of 3 flyovers at the main Kasoa traffic lights, another one at Galilea, and the 3rd one at CP. The main flyover, which is at the Kasoa traffic light, will be 270 meters long with a width of 18 meters, and so it's going to be a dual carriageway. The 2 other flyovers will be constructed at CP towards the west of the main flyover and at Galilea towards the east. These 2 flyovers will allow for north-south movements without interfering with the traffic on the main Accra Cape Coast Road. The west flyover has a span of 39.5 meters, while the east flyover has a span of 41 meters.
The project will also constitute underground storm drains, modern schools, and a health facility.
In addition, there's going to be a modern polyclinic to replace the existing one. I think it's somewhere here, over there. That's Areho Polyclinic. The Kasoa Polyclinic, the Areho one, is going to be replaced with a modern, new, state-of-the-art polyclinic.
Let's turn our attention to health, where the Mental Health Leadership and Advocacy Program is calling on government to, as a matter of urgency, include mental health treatment in the National Health Insurance Scheme. According to the group, since 2012 till date, there has been insufficient funding from government for mental health services in Ghana. According to the Mental Health Act, municipal and district assemblies are expected to contribute to addressing the challenges of mental health in their respective jurisdictions, but that is currently a challenge.
The Mental Health Leadership and Advocacy Program says it is expected that after the passage of the mental health law, government would commit more funds and resources for mental health care, train more mental health personnel, including psychotherapists, overhaul and decentralize the hospital-based system to make mental health more community-based, create an anti-stigma regime and advocate towards the prevention of human rights abuses of all mentally ill patients. But this is largely unfulfilled. Addressing journalists at the workshop, country facilitator Humphrey Kofi says there is now the urgent need for government to devote adequate budgetary allocation for the implementation of the provisions in the Act to help address the many challenges confronting mental health care delivery in Ghana.
The necessary steps have been taken to get us a mental health law currently. So the law is in full force ever since 2012. But what we need now is the regulation. The regulation is that which gives administrative directive to the parent law, which is the Act 846. And we are thinking that once the LI or the regulation also comes into force, it will go to support the parent law. But currently, it is also important that those laws that looks very archaic in terms of language are ones that we need to expand from our laws.
In his presentation, consultant psychiatrist Dr. Frank Banning said Ghana, just like many other African countries, are guilty of discriminating, marginalizing and violating the rights of people who suffer from mental disorders. He says the deficits in the treatment of mentally ill persons in the country remains a topical issue which needs a holistic approach by government and other stakeholders.
It's more of a policy issue. And I am surprised that it's not being covered if we're looking at equity, because apparently NHI is supposed to be there to ensure some form of equity. If you're looking at the most deprived people, okay, then you're asking yourself, so how come mental health is not there? How come mental health is suffering? Because these are some of the most poorest people you can find in the community. These are people who have lost all dignity. They are walking on the streets naked, and mental health doesn't cover them. Okay, but then the other side is that I think government's intention was that he will make provision for these people, so he will fund it. But we all know what happens with government of Ghana budgets. Quite often, you don't get what you are supposed to get, and sometimes you don't get anything at all. So that has been the challenge. But if they bring us under the NHI, it makes it easier in the sense that once you've provided a service, then you know at all costs, NHI must pay. Yes, we know there have been delays in payment, but at least at all costs, they will pay. So I think, yes, it's a good thing that they bring us under the NHI.
The workshop for journalists is aimed at sensitizing the media on how to handle and report on mental health in the country.
Still to come, the Institute of Democratic Governance, IDEG, is pushing for the arrest and prosecution of politicians who engage in vote buying. We'll be back shortly with the business segment. Now time for business. Attah is here with the very latest. Attah, hi, how are you?
Hello, Aisha, I'm fine.
What are we talking about?
I'm sure you know that for some time now, most of the books we use in Ghana are actually imported from China and other countries.
Yes.
And the local producers were calling on government to put a ban, place a ban on it so that they can produce, and also the raw materials that are used in manufacturing these books or put together these books, the taxes placed on them should be lowered or reduced so that they can, and then the books will be cheaper. Right, and so government has given them that, and they're excited about it. So we looked at the reaction from the printers.
I think we should all be excited about this.
I am, Aisha. I am. Thank you, Aisha. Now, the Ghana Printers and Paper Converters Association is delighted about the current directive by government to print all textbooks locally and says this holds a lot of potential for employment opportunities in the country. The president of the association, James Apiabeku, tells Joy Business, even though contractual agreements are yet to be made in that regard, the directive offers positive assurance that will help develop the capacity of the local industry.
There is every evidence that people will be employed. Some of those who had been laid off will be called back, and some others may be called to do this job. We anticipate that there would be not less than 600 of those who were laid off, plus new hands and casual workers and the like. So it holds a lot of prospects for for employment and job placements. It's very likely that a number of people are going to get the jobs in the print sector. The publishers whose books are going to be printed tendered their bids. And so after the books they have submitted have been screened and chosen, the next most important step would be contracting printers to begin to print these books. So in my opinion, it shouldn't take too long from now, maybe at most 1.5 months or 1 month or something in between, that these contracts will be begin to start to be worked on. Hoping and believing that with the signs that we have and the commitments this far, I believe the ministry is serious.
Private businesses may not necessarily lose out under the ECOWAS Common External Tariff Regime after all. This is because, contrary to suggestions that the woes of businesses would deepen because of higher import duties under the new system, certain key sectors apparently rather stand to benefit. The Finance Ministry says businesses in the manufacturing and agri sectors especially are already enjoying some reliefs. The Principal Economic Officer, Benjamin Ayensu Kwafo, has been speaking to Joy Business.
Now, when it comes to the 5% band, now in Ghana here, we have 375 commodities that attract 5%, and those are basic raw materials for manufacturing. Okay. But under the CET now, the scope has been broadened to cover 2,146 commodities. And you know, those commodities currently were attracting 10%. So that you realize that over 1,600 and something commodities in products, basically semi-finished products for manufacturing purposes, have migrated from 5%, from 10% to 5%. So it now the cost of has reduced. The cost of doing business in terms of import duty has reduced. So now most people, a friend was calling me that now the rate has come down. The rate has come down, especially those in the manufacturing sector. They are happy because the import duty on raw material has reduced from 10 to 5. Yeah, then we have the 10%.
So to boost local.
And also the other sectors, not only manufacturing sector, that's benefiting, like even communication. You know, now we used to have 20% on mobile phones and the rest. You understand? But under the sea it's 10%. So now, if you import mobile phone now, we are going to pay 10% instead of 20%. You'll pay. Yeah, and even health, there are so many benefits in health. There are some equipment for X-rays, alphabeta, whatever it is. There are many, which were formerly attracting 10%, but now they are 0.
Institute additional measures that will ensure that you spend within the approved budget. That is the advice coming from the visiting Deputy IMF Boss, Minju to government to help fast-track the expected economic recovery. Some critics believe the talk about market confidence in the economy is yet to be restored almost a year after signing on to the IMF program. But speaking at a press conference in Accra, the deputy IMF boss says the program is yielding the desired results. He, however, indicated there are some few knots to be tied to prove the skeptics wrong.
It is the stick on the fiscal discipline ensure a strong, a proper, and the business environment. It's not sort of cutting the tax and to make a business environment easy, then you can stick on the fiscal side. No, it's the other way around. Yes, I agree with you. The first part, the business community feel the pressures because interest rates is on the upside, right? The financing costs increase, right? They feel that because the depreciation, they feel the import pressures, and they feel the tariffs, and also because energy issues, they feel the disruptions. Now, how do we facing and tackle those issues? All those issues, why interest rates way high, why inflation is way high, why exchange rates are so weak? Because the debts, because the budget deficits. So that's the deep core. To solve this macro unbalanced, instant situations, we had the broad consultation, and with the authorities, we finally agreed we need to tackle the key issue is the fiscal disciplines and fiscal consolidations. So if we do that, as I said, if this year we'll be able to reach 2% of primary surplus and 4-5% GDP growth rates, we'll be able to maintain the debt sustainable, and that will peak on downside. So we will be able to expect to see the inflation rate, the interest rates on downside, and exchange rates will adjust accordingly.
So what does the Finance Minister said Tekpe make of this challenge? Let's hear him out.
We revise the budget, downwards, using first 58 and 53, dollars per barrel. We did that administratively, and then we went to Parliament to have it, validated by the time we did a media review. That was a $40 per barrel difference in contraction. We've since done two things, you will recall, and I'm just recalling. We went to Parliament to give the minister the discretion, the option of using a lower figure, subject to approval by Parliament. So even though the benchmark revenue should have been $86, we prepared a budget based on $53. Now to revise it to the average of 45 will be tough, but it's a lesser of a yeoman's job compared to $40. That's just an $8. And we are preparing the scenarios. We would go to cabinet, and pretty soon, we would, I believe, subject to the decision of cabinet, we would, come out, with the fiscal position in accordance. So there is precedent, and if we don't do that, you raise expectations that there is ministries, departments, and agencies can spend at a price of $53, which does not exist.
Time to move to the stock and commodity markets, and crude oil is gaining, gold gained today, and cocoa also gained. But what else do we have? John is here with all the details. Hello, John.
Hi, Attah. I think
I'm excited with the commodities.
Exactly. So there's one thing to also be excited about, because your darling equity,
Benz oil palm plantation is back.
Today, it's back. Today, the market kept actually nosediving as total volume declined. Value also did decline, forcing the market capitalization to also go down averagely. So as we speak, the composite index is doing something around 0.37%, as the financial index is 0.29%.
Right.
That is not a good news for an investor. But we always say that at least now you can actually enter into the market, buy one or two to see how the market will actually behave coming next month and the subsequent months to come.
Right.
But there are almost about 7 equities that really move the market. But the 2 or the 4 major ones are the Standard Chartered Bank actually added 4 pesos to their to their investors.
Then,
and
so
your
it's
darling
back?
baby is back, adding 1 peso.
Oh, I see Societe Generale too.
Societe Generale losing 1 peso to close the market around 0.084%. Right. And of course, Ecobank Ghana also did lose 2 pesos to close the market at 75 pesos. That's basically how
the
commodities.
The commodities. I'm excited about the commodities
it's all,
today.
as you can see, it's all green.
Right.
You know, crude gained $1.66 to close the market at $34.36. Gold gained $11.94 to close the market at $1,139, and cocoa almost $63. To close exactly.
That's significant.
Very significant. But how long can this go?
We
Tomorrow,
should sustain it.
Exactly.
We should.
And unfortunately, the currency.
City lost to everything.
Everything. Lost to the dollar, the British pound, the euro, and then the Chinese yuan. So these are the major currencies that the city trades against.
We should work on the city.
We hope so.
Government, I mean.
Exactly. So, exactly. So today, if you want one, tomorrow, if you want to actually get $1, you need to get somewhere close to about 3 cedis, 84 pesos to get 1. So basically, that's been the market. It's not really that good, but I think going forward, yes, of course, yes.
Thank you, John. That's our wrap up for today. My name is Attah, and I'm saying many thanks for your time.
Welcome to Joy News Prime, and now to the rest of our stories. The Institute of Democratic Governance, IDEG, is pushing for the arrest and prosecution of politicians who engage in vote buying. Political party and national elections are often characterized by accusations of one party or candidate inducing voters with cash. Speaking at a meeting with the Greater Accra Regional Police Commander, Executive Director of IDEG says he expects the police service to take the issue seriously.
Dr. Emmanuel Akwete first cited examples of how elections in political parties, notably the NDC and the MPP, have been marred by allegations of vote buying in the past. He wondered why the police have failed to take action on these allegations all this year.
We've had a lot of talk about how monies are given to people to vote, and sometimes it's so open. Since 2008, if you remember, when the MPP was having its primaries at Legon, we had that. Recently, we've had another one, but it's all over, delegates and conferences and so on. But it's in the law that it's an offense. We've never had anybody arrested, prosecuted, challenged.
Dr. Akwete also pushed for strict measures to clamp down on the operations of political party vigilante groups ahead of the November 7 elections.
A new feature in our elections 2016 is the emergence of armed vigilantes, or call them paratroopers, wielding all sorts of guns. The Talensi by-election was a shocker. And then there was Western Menfield recently. Again, the consistent thing that lowers public trust and doubt, creates doubts about the police is no action.
Greater Accra Regional Police Commander, who led the team, declined comment on calls for prosecution of persons engaged in vote buying. He, however, revealed that the police are seeking advice from the Attorney General on the prosecution of 2 vigilante group members of the New Patriotic Party who were arrested in December last year.
The challenge we've had is the lack of cooperation from the person who was attacked and his property damaged. We've made several attempts to get the person to come and help us to prosecute the case. Unfortunately, even as I speak to you, the person has failed to do that. What we have done as a result of that is to send the case docket as we have it, without the cooperation of the possible complainant, to the Attorney General's office for advice.
The Accra Regional Police is expected to visit other stakeholders in the election process prior to the November polls.
Pressure group Let My Vote Count Alliance says Ghanaians should not accept the so-called work done by an external auditor on the voters' register. According to the group, the Electoral Commission employed the service of one consultant without consultation with the Inter-Party Advisory Committee. Leader of the group, David Ashanti, addressed the media.
The Let My Vote Count Alliance wished to serve notice to the EC that Ghanaians will not accept the work that he claims to have done by Mr. Ogundi as contributing and constituting a credible, comprehensive, independent, competent audit of Ghana's biometric voters register. Indeed, whilst Mrs. Charlotte Osei is happily announcing to the world that audit of the biometric voters register has been done, the auditor himself was telling the panel of 5 that it will take 3 months to do a proper audit, and that such an audit should cover more. In his words, when he appeared before the panel at the EC office on November 17, 2015, these were his words, and I quote, "Ghana must find means of addressing the underlying issues of bloated register, and that in Kenya, the auditing process was completed within a period of 3 months. And if that is exactly what the EC may consider, it should not wait any longer."
A former Minister of Chieftaincy Affairs under the Kasoa administration is asking the opposition New Patriotic Party supporters to refrain from insulting their political opponents. Samson Kwekubuafo says tolerance and not verbal abuse can win sympathy and guarantee victory for the party in this year's elections. He was speaking at the campaign launch of the Subin constituency parliamentary candidate in Kumasi. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
The strategies of the New Patriotic Party is to reduce votes secured by the NDC in the opposition stronghold Ashanti region in the November 7 polls. Mr. Buafo, who was the MP for Subin for 2 terms, wants party supporters to be decorous in political discourse with opponents. He also advises parliamentary aspirants to be modest in their conduct.
I want to appeal to the campaign team and candidates and all members of the party to avoid insults. There's no need even to reply to people who insult you. If they refuse to reply to insults, that will end the program.
MPP parliamentary aspirant for the area, Eugene Boachi Entry, raised issues about the dwindling fortunes of the party in the 2008 and 2012 elections. He says the party will run a grassroots campaign to capture every vote in the area.
We've been very complacent with our strongholds because you win every major election from your stronghold. So we have to tackle our strongholds with a very holistic approach. And that's by breaking down the various electoral areas, making it more manageable for people to efficiently and effectively run it, to maximize the votes.
A campaign team was launched as part of efforts to increase the electoral fortunes of the party.
Over 200 science teachers and laboratory technicians in the country have undergone training to improve their skill for teaching the subject. They were drawn from selected second cycle schools as part of government's efforts to address shortfall in science and mathematics education. Another report by Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
The program is one of the approaches by the Ministry of Education to make learning of science more practical and relevant to students. In 2013, a committee was set up to identify the causes of low performance in mathematics and science subjects in schools. Though such factors are clear, especially to the media, officials believe ineffective teaching and learning are contributory factors. Ahead of the training, the Ministry of Education considered measures to make the training practical and relevant to the needs of participants. Representative of the International Training Education Consultant, Graham Dane, was impressed about the exercise. He urged participants to effectively impart their knowledge to their students in order to bring the needed change.
You have made it this good. We've been most impressed with you as students. You started off a bit cautious, you've become more confident, you've become more competent, you've helped each other, you've raised the whole standard of the whole training forward with us, your trainers, as a joint enterprise. Well done. We're very proud to be associated with it.
Some of the participants shared their experiences with Joy News.
I have really enjoyed the program because it's been educative. It has been an eye-opener for me because there are certain subjects that were sort of abstract and difficult to actually teach, but they give very simple experiment that you can carry out with the students that will open up and broaden their understanding.
I feel the best way to comprehend chemistry is through the practical works. So I believe ITech and GS has done a real good work, and I'm going to impact my school positively on how things should be run from now onwards.
Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report from the Ashanti region.
Now time to know what we'll be interacting about shortly. And Ifwakwa Harrison is here. What's up?
Hello, Aisha. Well, violence in Agogo has got a lot of people talking, but it is the acting IGP, John Kudalo's words that takes the cake. He has told the Fulani herdsmen to make sure their animals comport themselves. We'll be taking views on that from social media. Now, if you had to tell a story in 6 words, what will it be?
Hey. It's a problem. Oh, some woman be now she's pregnant.
What? What? And Holistic Papa in Sunyani can't stand the long queues people have to be in just to purchase prepaid light credit. Make a date with me on the interactive segment later on in the show. Aisha.
And indeed, Ilfa will be coming back with all of these, plus your comments that will be read on the news. Now time to recap our stories. Military personnel to be detailed to Agogo in the Ashanti region to restore calm following the death of one person and injury of another. Unpaid nurses embark on strike to demand payment of some 3 to 6 months of arrears. Also, Institute of Democratic Governance pushes for the arrest and prosecution of politicians who engage in vote buy. In business, Printers and Paper Converters Association delighted about the current directive by government to print all textbooks locally and says this holds a lot of potential for employment opportunities in the country. Let's get on to the rest of our stories. 27 final year students of Zamse Senior High Technical School at Batanga in the Upper East region were arrested and granted bail this morning following riots at the school 2 nights ago. Upper East correspondent Albert Sori has been following this beat and earlier spoke with Francis Aben on the polls.
The students have now been granted bail. They've all given their statements and they've been granted bail to go home while the investigations continue. But what happened was that the students said they wanted extra time to study after the normal prep hours, stipulated by the school. And this is what started the whole thing. They wanted to stay usually after the normal prep time to continue to study because according to them, they had lost a lot of time in terms of how much they needed to cover. And these are final year students. So the school authority said that, well, when it comes to the issue of they losing some of their lessons, the school authority has taken care of that and they've added an extra period to the normal periods that they have every day. And some of the teachers are also volunteering to go into the classrooms during free periods to teach and then cover up the lost time. And so the school authority did not think that it was necessary for them to extend the prep time. Now, what the headmaster of the school, even though he refused to, he didn't want to be recorded, what he said was that under normal circumstances, they are supposed to go to prep so they can go back home, go back to the dormitories and rest and be refreshed to continue with the next day's activity. So if they wanted more time, the school didn't think it was necessary because all the issues of whether they needed more time to study and to cover up had already been taken care of. But these students were still insisting. So what the school authority said was that the Students' Representative Council should write to the school so that the school makes it an official thing. Then they can file it and make it official that the prep time had been extended. So this was the explanation that, this was what the headmaster of the school told the students, only for him to leave the school. And later on, some of the students, the final year students, started rioting and throwing stones. They broke some louvers at the administration block. I'm told also that they vandalized some computers. Some of the students even took away some of the computers. But when the police came and, searched, they were able to retrieve these computers, back to the school. As we speak, the school has been closed down because of this incident. And what I'm told is that they want to investigate the issue a little bit further. There's a committee that is looking into it. But the headmaster is confident that there's no cause for alarm. For him, it is not an issue that is too serious. But then they will have to take their time and then call the students back as soon as possible, especially for the final years, so that they can come back and study properly towards their final exam. I've been to the police station. I was referred to the crime office. Unfortunately, the crime officer was not at the office, at the time I visited.
The National Communication Authority, NCA, says it will soon launch a nationwide public digital terrestrial TV migration educational campaign. The campaign is geared towards bringing clear understanding to the ordinary Ghanaian on what to expect and what to do to enjoy television services when the nation finally migrates to digital. Benis Abu-Beidu has been speaking with Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association on the matter.
So we are starting with a teaser to at least get something into the minds of the people. The churches, the schools, marketplaces, the television houses, drama, publicity from role models. Everybody is going to be involved with this. And I can assure you that even community radio will speak about it.
How much are we looking at?
You mean in terms of the budget for?
Yeah, the budget for the...
You are in the media, and you know what is advertising. I can tell you categorically that what is even going in to the kind of plan we have is supposed to be in the range of millions of Ghana cedis. But I can tell you that we are just much, much less, maybe not even up to 1 million. For all the newspapers in the country, for all the radio stations in the country, for all the TV stations in the country, you don't spend that. And the reason is only that the stations themselves and the newspaper publishers and all the publicity units are cooperating. And so we had good negotiations with them. And I can say that more than 500% of what the budget should be has been taken away. And so it's good news. Yeah, we made sure we don't spend, because this is for us. It is not publicity about something else, but it's about ourselves. How to carry our programs, how to broadcast our programs in digital format. And it's amazing. I'll use this opportunity to thank all broadcasters, all newspaper houses, the Graphic, the GBC. We visited all.
At least 3 people are feared dead in an accident on the Kumasi-Obuasi Road after a Yutong bus collided with a tipper truck. Love FM's Akosia Diose was at the scene of the accident and joins me via phone. Good evening, Akosia. What's the condition of the others who survived? Hello, Akosia. You're on Joy News Prime. I'm asking, what's the condition of the others who survived?
They have been sent to the Konfanoche government hospital right now. There were about 15 of them. They were severely injured, with some of them having their legs and hands off. They have been sent to the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital right now.
Do we know what caused this accident?
Well, it involves the Yutong bus and construct. The Yutong bus was heading towards Obuase, and the concert track was heading towards Kumasi. And the Yutong bus was trying to overtake the concert bus, and it collided. Three people died instantly. 2 male and a female.
You've been able to speak with eyewitnesses. What have they been telling you?
Yeah, eyewitness. They told me that about eyewitness account. They told me that about 5 people died instantly, but when I got there, only 3 were there.
Have the police been there yet?
Yes, the police were there when I got there. The police were there already, and the fire service were there. But the funny thing was the driver of the concert track was so stuck in the car, and it took them about 40 minutes before they were able to remove him from the car.
Many thanks to Akosia for that report on the accident. We'll take a short break. When we come back, it's time for entertainment.
Entertainment news is brought to you by...
Now time for showbiz. Gladys Osei.
Osei Asare. You love to make entertainment out of my name.
I know a lot is coming up with some marriage things.
Some marriage things like that, yeah.
So what are we entertaining about?
Of course, our staff from Sarkodie, who actually has debunked rumors. You know, there was this rumor that he received $7 million from the NDC to make their campaign song for this year's election.
Have you heard any song or any such song?
Well, Sarkodie says it's not true. So people are just making up stories, and that if they indeed have that money, something useful could be done with that amount. So we put together a piece.
Now, evidence nowhere.
Evidence nowhere. Sarkodie says that is not true, but we can at least listen to this report.
Okay.
Rapper Sarkodie has finally come out to respond to rumors that he has received $7 million from the National Democratic Congress to compose a campaign song for their team in this year's election. The rapper says that he hasn't received any money from the National Democratic Congress, and if they had such an amount of money, he is sure that they would have used it for something else and not give it to him to compose a song.
Who is getting married? Poppy.
You know, but you know, the interesting bit here is that he doesn't even have an idea which kind of a woman it is, but he's quite optimistic. So we're talking about the Afrocentric award-winning rapper artist, Trigmatic. He actually says Trigmatic.
He doesn't have the woman yet?
No woman yet, but he's so sure that he actually goes on to fix dates. And he's sure within that date, but it definitely is this year.
He will definitely get there.
He will walk down the aisle. Madam Right will be in short. So he was actually talking to me on our flagship program, The White Carpet.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm not choosing with physique and all, but maybe with spirituality, I am a bit, you know.
But you are a leader of a church. It should be very simple for you to, you know, spot out one who is...
Like girls in the church?
Yeah.
No, I want to meet the person.
You spend 70% of your time in church, and you can't spot out from your church, and you're still looking outside.
Because I haven't fixed... No, I haven't...
When are you going to get married?
I want to marry this year.
Ah, which date? Give us a date.
First, I picked 26 June. So if I find a woman, who's ready to come along within a short time, fine. Yeah. But if she's not, we might just do it on my birthday, 13th of December.
So this is a church elder.
A church elder.
And did he say he's
he's not looking through the choristers yet.
He's
not
looking
even the
elsewhere
youth yet.
Why not?
It sounded like he's looking outside. Too bad you're taken. Otherwise, I would have directed his look here.
No.
But of course, I mean, those who are willing and who are, you know, hoping that Trigmatic will be, you know, their pick. He's a free man. You can go. You see, you don't lose out on this one. But you know, SP Sapon has actually been lamenting on the fact that their albums do very well outside than it does in Ghana here.
Yes.
And he blames that on downloading free downloads online, and people are not really eager to buy albums anymore or pay for them.
But it happens outside the country too.
Well, but interestingly, they all say that when they take their songs outside, they get good sales for their albums than
rather
they do
than
here.
here.
Yeah. So we caught up with SP Kofi Sapon.
Yes, he's now SP.
He's now SP, and he, talked a bit more about how come they're not making good sales in Ghana here.
Well, for gospel albums, it does, but we don't have it as it should be because people put their laptop or computer and
Okay, so that's actually...
yes.
So what do you think is the way forward to prevent the year to change?
The law should actually work for us because we spend a lot in the studio for recordings and the promotion and all that. And so if at the end of the day, someone sits somewhere and does this to us, that's why many of us or some of us go to studio once and you will hear from us again, or you will hear that minister again because of all these things.
It looks to me like a very tough competition for Abraham Attah because of the category where he finds himself.
But the fact that that young boy has made it to that kind of category where we have Will Smith and the likes of that heavyweight.
Yeah.
It's a blessing in disguise. I'm so very sure he will pick up that award. But let me give the details now. So the young actor Abraham Attah faces tough competition in his quest to win his first NAACP Image Awards this Friday, February 5, 2016. So he comes up against Will Smith, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Michael Ele, and Michael B. Jordan for the Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture Award. The National Association for Advancement of Colored People Image Awards is an award scheme to honor people of color in film, television, music, and literature. And this year's will actually be hosted by actor and comedian Anthony Anderson and held at Pasadena Civic Auditorium, California, in the United States of America. So Abraham actually, who played the role of Agogo in Beast of No Nation, actually is contesting Will Smith and the likes for that category, and we wish him all the best and do hope that he picks up the award and comes back home. Yes, so
I'll be glad to hear that.
Guess who the latest is to join in denouncing Donald Trump?
Who's that?
Okay, so Adele was actually the first. Elton, yes. Adele was actually the first to denounce Donald Trump and dissociate herself from all. Donald, I don't know if it's because of his money, but he spews out anything and he gets away with it.
Yeah.
Perhaps even if he had to pay for that, he has enough money to pay for that, so he doesn't care. He just gets away with it. So after Adele's song was used during his campaign, Adele came out to denounce and say she had no link and wouldn't want her song to be used. Now Elton John's songs were used also, and he also comes out to say that I just do not want to be part of your campaign. Find a different song.
Oh my
Maybe I can make a suggestion that Donald Trump should make a song for himself, because the way
everybody's denying him.
Exactly, everybody's denying him. I think it's about time, he went on to do a song for himself. It would be better for him actually if he's able to do that. So that's about Donald Trump. But there's also been this allegation that Reggie and Bowling has cheated
on his wife. Yes.
Well, so just days after that rumors, then she gets on Facebook and posts romantic photos of herself and her husband.
That's sweet.
That's cute. Yeah. I mean, hey, how many women would be bold enough to do that one? But she goes on Facebook and puts it there, and rather opts to actually promote her husband's current tour and program, event that is coming up.
Okay.
So she's putting, you can say
all
whatever.
of that aside. I think that's a great woman, and some other woman would have jumped on this
woman. After such successful performance from her husband, would at this time say you cheated, so I'm walking off.
Wow.
I mean, put that on the side. That's not time for that one.
Go, girl.
Exactly. So she says, well, but the fact that it's kind of an admission that mistakes do happen. Mm-hmm. When did this happen? It could have happened even before her husband put up that stellar performance at X Factor.
So
got a
past is past.
Past is past. That's just like wave it off and
ahead.
Exactly. So I'm kind of waving you off too, because I'm over here.
Thanks so much, Gladys, for passing through with the entertainment news. We're still enjoying News Prime. We'll be back with more.
Entertainment news was brought to you.
Now time for sports, and guess the face you see here, Gary L. Smith.
Hi.
What are we sporting about?
Well, several things, but first of all, we'll be looking at the English Premier League and Arsenal's form. They are not seeming like title contenders at the moment because they are not getting enough points. So we'll be having a live Skype chat.
It looks like we're going to have more sports.
Yes, we will.
Tonight.
Thank you very much. And welcome to the Sports on Prime. Hello, I'm Gary L. Smith. If you're an Arsenal fan, yesterday was time to wring your hands again. For the umpteenth time, the Gunners were unable to capitalize on what looked like a definite chance to win the Premier League. A lot of people have said that if they don't win it this season, they might never have the opportunity to do so. 0-0 with Southampton was not even the biggest talking point, but the way they even played, and once again, the way they were unable to finish their chances. What's happening at the Emirates and what's happening with the Gunners? We'll be going over live to London, North London to be precise, to speak to somebody who has played for Arsenal and also somebody who knows the terrain very, very well. Adrian Clark, thank you very much for joining us on Joy News.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Right, so on behalf of all Arsenal fans, it's squeaky bum time again for the umpteenth time in a row.
Yes, it's not gone brilliantly for Arsenal so far in 2016. They beat Newcastle, of course, in the first match, but since then in the Premier League, it's not gone their way. Some disappointing results. They threw a victory away at Liverpool. Obviously, it all went horribly wrong against Chelsea with the red card. And then against Southampton yesterday, they started too slowly, Gary. It was a really poor first half performance, but they grew into the match. And I think based on the second half display, they did deserve to win the match, but the finishing wasn't good. And the goalkeeper, of course, was inspired.
Very interesting indeed. And I'm thinking that, you know, for Arsenal, it's going to be a frustrating time. You work with Arsenal, you see the players every day. What is the feeling like? So they have some of the best players in the world, but there must be some frustration in there.
Oh, there's real frustration because they know that they have a great chance of winning the league this season. I think that they know they're a very balanced squad and that if they perform to their capabilities, that they're easily capable of winning the Premier League this year. So, yeah, there's real frustration at results. There's a little bit of nerves and edginess because they're desperate to get those 3 points and to get back to the top of the table. I think so. So the next match against Bournemouth, I think, is so important. If they win that one and win it well, all of a sudden the morale will be up. They'll be smiling again. And I think we'll see a really strong finish to the season from Arsenal. But right now, they're disappointed with how the last few games have gone. But I see a determination to put it right and to get back to the summit of the league.
Now, you have seen Arsenal at close quarters. Again, you've played for the club before. And do you think this current crop see their title chances as faded, or they think they have the ability to revive it? Don't forget that those detractors of Arsenal are saying, well, Arsenal are going to default position of fourth.
They always do. Yeah, they always say that. And no, I think this season there is a belief that they can win the Premier League. I don't think in recent years the team have felt that they were ready to win the league. Obviously, at the start of every season, that's your ambition. But they've done okay in the FA Cup, of course. They've won that twice. But this season, for the first time in several years, I think everybody believes that they are more than good enough. And 5 points, Gary, is nothing. That's easily to turn around. You just need to go on a winning run. And you know the way the Premier League has gone this season, everybody is beating everybody else. So Leicester will drop points, Man City will drop points, Spurs will drop points. So it's down to Arsenal. It's in their hands. And they've got some really, really big games coming up. And they need to perform in them. If they don't, they're going to miss out this year, which I think, given the players like the likes of Ozil and Sanchez, I think it'll be a real disappointment if they don't win the league this year. This is their time to shine, and I think they've got to seize the moment.
Their time to shine sounds like a Salvation Army motto, doesn't it? But hold on a moment, Adrian. I'll do a bit of analysis with you. But if I can get to my producers to the next story. Yesterday, we saw Claudio Ranieri and Jurgen Klopp Square of Leicester beating Liverpool by 2-0. That goal from Jamie Vardy was exquisite. So if we can take their comment, and then I come back to Adrian Clark for us to do a bit of analysis on Jamie Vardy's amazing form and 18 goals this season. Adrian, you saw that goal from Jamie Vardy. I mean, goal of the season, goal of the month, goal of the year.
Well, I wouldn't say it's the goal of the season, personally. I think Matt Ritchie scored an amazing goal earlier in the campaign for Bournemouth. And I also liked Dele Alli's goal against Crystal Palace a week ago. Amazing piece of skill. But look, it was superb. And I'll tell you what was interesting about this goal. It told you all you need to know about Leicester. And it used all their strengths in one go. They win the ball in their own half. Their first thought, Gary, is to get the ball forward as quickly as possible. And they didn't just whack it forward hopelessly. Mahrez picked out Jamie Vardy. It was a perfect ball. And then Vardy, we just know he's one of the quickest players in the league. And when he's sharp, when he's in form, he is an amazing finisher. And I think that was a tremendous effort. What I love about Jamie Vardy is that he can score those goals with his right foot and with his left foot. So it's really impressive.
Okay, the reason I wanted us to see that clip and also to listen to the two coaches, Klopp and Ranieri, is that for somebody like Arsene Wenger, having even better players at his disposal, do you think that the frustration from Arsenal fans around the world, and I should tell you there's a huge contingent of Arsenal fans here in Ghana, that Wenger must go because he simply, keeps Arsenal fans too worried too many times?
Look, I understand the frustrations. Lots and lots of fans. The Arsenal fans are split, aren't they? There are so many that love Arsene Wenger and they continue to trust in him. And there are others that would prefer maybe to see a change. I think everybody is entitled to their own opinion. Sometimes I think you have to be careful what you wish for. Yeah. And Arsenal always produce entertaining football. They are such a good side to watch.
But Arsenal need titles now.
They do. And this season, as I say, this is their time to show that they have the mental strength to win the title. This is their year. If they don't win the title this year, they have the fans, the players, everybody, Arsene Wenger himself, have every right to feel really disappointed. Because, in my opinion, the squad is the best squad, and this is the perfect moment for them to win it, because Man City aren't great this season, and Leicester, for all the brilliant football that they've produced, Arsenal should be finishing above Leicester City this season. So it's all to play for. I understand the frustrations with the manager, but look, he knows what he's doing. He's won the Premier League before, remember? He's won it.
Well, that was a long time ago. But Adrian, final question. I don't let people leave our Skype discussions without asking for an anecdote. As you work around Arsenal, as you move around the Emirates all the time, what anecdote can you give us about what is happening around the club? Have you spoken to Wenger, Mesut Ozil? Give us something, man.
I wish I got to see that. Honestly, I don't get to see those guys as often as you might imagine, unfortunately. But no, because my work in the Arsenal TV, we're quite separate from the players. But I can tell you this, that Mesut Ozil is the best player that I've seen close up since Dennis Bergkamp. And I was very, very fortunate enough to play with Dennis Bergkamp in 1995, 1996. He made everybody else a better player. The touch, the weight of the pass was perfect. And I see the same in Mesut Ozil. I think this season he's going to be the footballer of the year. So, but I think to claim that award, Gary, Arsenal need to win the title. So it's down to him, down to Alexis to do the business over the next few weeks. And hopefully Arsenal will bring that silverware home and make all those fans in Ghana and around the world very, very happy.
You said Mesut Ozil is going to be the footballer of the season, and you are our star of the season, our star for the night. Thank you very much for joining us, Adrian Clark. He works with Arsenal TV as a presenter and an analyst, and he's joining us live from North London. Still in London, but for another reason involving another team from those parts. Chelsea are currently playing in the Barclays Premier League with Watford. Let's go over to our live score feed to check out how they are doing at the moment. There they are. It's currently 0-0. Watford versus Chelsea, and Everton are also winning by 1-0 against Newcastle United. Everton have been pretty inconsistent, but it's not been looking good. Also, the Copa del Rey has Luis Suarez scored for 2-0, and Barcelona are leading by 3-0 against Valencia. These ones are from Italy, as you can see. Thank you very much for your custom having our live interview and also updates from the Barclays Premier League. We'll do more later. I'm Gary Al Smith. Head over to myjoyonline.com/sport for more.
It's time to interact and read your comments and converse. And Ifa Aquarison is here.
Are you trying to steal my line,
No, I'm just helping you. But I know about some animals who are supposed to comport themselves. How are they supposed to do that?
Well, I'll be telling you all about it, but let's take a little break. We'll be right back.